There are a few men in history that have been able to push along scientific progress as immensely as Nikola Tesla did. A man who was as complex as he was smart. Tesla's inventions shaped the world as we know it today. In this video, we will explore how a Croatian immigrant, armed with just the clothes on his back and his mind, rose to become one of the most influential scientists of his time. Nikola Tesla was born in Smiljan in modern-day Croatia on the 10th of July in 1856. He was one of 5 children. His father was an Orthodox priest who encouraged Tesla to follow in his footsteps and become a priest and writer. His mother, however, who invented small household appliances in her spare time, spurred his interest in electrical inventions. As a child, he began seeing visions accompanied by flashes of light, confusing what was real and what was imaginary. This never went away, and the visions spurred his ability to conceive inventions in his head in such detail that he didn't even need to draw them out. After visiting school in Austria and Germany and studying in the University of Prague during the 1870s, Tesla moved to Budapest, where he worked for the Central Telephone Exchange for a time. It was there where the idea for the induction motor first came to Tesla. He tried to gain interest for his idea for several years, but after failing to excite possible investors and the scientific community for his design, he decided at the age of 28 to leave Europe for America. In 1884, Tesla arrived in the United States with little more than the clothes on his back and an introduction letter to the famed inventor and business mogul Thomas Edison. At the time, his DC-based electrical works were becoming the standard in the country. Edison hired Tesla, and the two were soon working rigorously alongside each other, making improvements in Edison's inventions. Tesla initially had a good impression of Edison, and Edison was also impressed by Tesla. This mutual admiration didn't last, however, and one could argue there are several different reasons why. Many historians attribute this fallout to their incredibly different personalities. While Edison was a power figure who focused on marketing and financial success, Tesla was not business-minded and was somewhat vulnerable. The two men also disagreed on how electricity should be contained and delivered. Edison preferred the direct current, which is a system where the electrical charge only flows in one direction, while Tesla was a fan of alternating currents, in which the electrical charge changes direction periodically. Changing direction is crucial to maintaining a steady supply of electricity, because it doesn't overpower outlets. This means it can provide more power and over longer distances. It's the reason why our homes today are still powered by alternating currents, while direct currents only power small items like flashlights. But Edison didn't care about this discovery. After all, it could hurt the sales of his own products, since he owned all of the patents for direct current. Eventually, Edison offered Tesla a $50,000 bonus if he could improve the machines that work on direct current. After completing the task, however, Tesla didn't receive his money. This led to Tesla quitting and launching his own electrical company instead. Sadly, the young entrepreneur made a tragic financial mistake by assigning the patents to his inventions to the company in exchange for stock. The company went bankrupt after a time, which meant that Tesla's stocks were worth nothing. After losing his company, Tesla even had to do menial work to survive. But his luck would change. In 1887, Tesla invented the induction motor that ran on alternating currents. That was the most efficient way to convert electricity into mechanical power. His technology is still used today by Tesla cars, which took its name from the famed inventor. Supported by Westinhouse, a very influential financier, the invention finally made him a serious competitor to Edison and his machines, which still worked on direct current. This marked the start of what became known as the War of the Currents. After years of competition, Tesla's company managed to make a mark at the World's Columbian Exposition, by illuminating the first all-electric fair. It was clear to the 400 people who attended the convention that alternating currents would power the future. Another big step in dominating Edison's General Electric company was the construction of the world's first alternating current plant in Niagara Falls. The hydroelectric power station was a massive success and was able to light up New York and Boston from afar. Westinghouse and Tesla won the war of the currents, and direct current technology was eventually phased out. After some financial struggles, Westinghouse and Tesla's company was sold, and Tesla was able to walk away with his alternating current patents. With this money, Tesla became financially independent and set up a new laboratory in New York. There, he was often visited by his close friend and one of the most famous English writers of all time, Mark Twain. During this period, Tesla designed most of his inventions, and it marked the height of his professional and social life. He held over 300 patents in his lifetime. He created an early version of neon lightning, the Tesla turbine, and pioneered in X-ray technology. This is an X-ray of his hand. He also designed one of the first remote-controlled objects, a mid-sized boat that he navigated through a lake. Onlookers were so skeptical of the authenticity of this technology that he had to open up the lid to prove to them that no one was hiding inside. One of his most important inventions is the Tesla coil, a device that can produce large amounts of high-voltage electricity. Through these coils, he made another important discovery. He found out that he could send and receive powerful radio signals when they resonated at the same frequency. Tesla was coming closer to broadcasting the first radio signal. However, before he was able to do it, disaster struck. In 1895, a fairly small fire destroyed his laboratory with most of his inventions. He lost years of research and work. That gave his closest competitor, Marconi, a very big jump on him. He was also working on radio signals and had already applied for several patents in the US, but was rebuffed until now because his designs were too close to those of Tesla. Things changed, however, when Marconi was able to send the first transatlantic radio message in 1905. Talking about his competitor, Tesla joked, "Marconi is a good fellow. Let him continue. He's using 17 of my patents." Edison then threw his financial support behind Marconi. And in 1904, the US Patent Office suddenly changed its mind and awarded Marconi a patent for the invention of the radio. He later went on to win the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1911, which was only possible through Tesla's work. Tesla was angry and sued Marconi. After a long legal battle, the case settled in Tesla's favor, but only after his death. In the beginning of the 20th century, Tesla wrote a sensational article for Century magazine. In this detailed futuristic vision, he described the meaning of tapping into the sun's energy with an antenna, which would, in his mind, make it possible to control the weather and eliminate all wars. To unite all nations, he proposed a global system of wireless communications. The idea of a global communications network was very appealing to one of the most powerful men at the time, J.P. Morgan. He agreed to invest $150,000 into Tesla's worldwide radio broadcast center. But the Inventors' real plan was to transmit industrial levels of electrical power without wires. Tesla chose to keep this a secret from his investor. The construction of the Wardenclyffe Tower, or sometimes called the Tower of Dreams, started in the summer of 1900 in Long Island, New York. This project took many years, and Tesla failed to transmit both power or messages wirelessly. In consequence, J.P. Morgan pulled his financial support. This left Tesla in financial ruin. He had no choice but to abandon his dream project in 1905. Tesla's mental health deteriorated. He lived his last decade in a New York hotel beginning in 1933. Westinghouse Corporation hired him as a consultant and paid for his hotel room. He spent a lot of his time feeding the pigeons at a local park and routinely took home any that were injured so he could nurse them back to health. He also kept the windows open in his hotel room so pigeons could visit when they wished, resulting in a horrible mess. Tesla's acquaintances found his passion for pigeons puzzling because the inventor was also a well-known germaphobe. In his last years, Tesla was working on a death beam to help the Allies fight against Nazi Germany during the Second World War. He tried to interest several governments in his idea and scheduled a meeting with high-level officials at the White House for January 8, 1943, to consider his plans. But the meeting never took place. On the 7th of January 1943, at the age of 86, Tesla died alone in a hotel room in New York as a result of a coronary thrombosis. We could ask ourselves why one of the most influential scientists of all time died poor and lonely. You could say he was unlucky sometimes, like when his laboratory burned down, but the main reason many people suspect is that Tesla didn't have the mindset of a capitalist and was more in it for the science. However, his legacy lives to this day. His inventions are the reason why modern society functions the way it does.